What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today is actually a part of my new Small Brand Sunday series, which I just recently started. If you missed it, I'll post the first video up in the card so you can check it out. But basically, this is a series of videos where I talk about smaller brands, indie brands that don't really get enough attention in the nail polish world, and they're polishes that I've been testing out for a while and I just want to share them with you. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a brand called Cadillacquer, and this is actually a brand that I've been following for a really long time. They're actually an independent nail polish brand that is based in Switzerland, but they have a ton of international retailers, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. And just a little bit of background info on them. All of their polishes are 5 free, meaning they're free of 5 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They're also vegan, meaning they do not use any animal-derived ingredients, and they're cruelty-free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. Funny enough, I actually heard of Cadillacquer through Facebook because way back in the day, I feel like that was where I discovered all of the new indie nail polish brands, and I think that must have been before Instagram was even a thing. So they've been around for a while, and to me, I think their specialty is really crelly nail polishes, which is basically just like a mix between a cream finish nail polish and a jelly sheer finish nail polish that have interesting glitters or flakies in them. I think that's really like their unique polish that they do. Although of course they also have other finishes like really beautiful shimmers, and more recently they've been doing shimmers with reflective glitters in them. But yeah, they have a lot of really interesting colors. I think one of the reasons why I love this series so much is because I talk a lot about mainstream polishes and finishes that aren't the most unique, but the indie brands always have these really interesting finishes that I just don't see anywhere else. So I've got a bunch of them to show you today. They're not part of a collection or anything. It's just a random sampling of polishes that represent the brand really well. So I'm going to show you the swatches of them first. We'll talk a little bit about the formula, we'll talk about the colors, and then we can move on to pricing, availability. I'll tell you some of their stockists that they have. So yeah, let's do the swatches first, so roll the footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Orly Bonder base coat. So we'll start off with some crellies. This first one is called Wait for Me, and it is a white crelly base, and then we've got a lot going on inside of it. So we have these larger multi-chromatic flakes that mostly look red to orange to yellow, but at more extreme angles you can see green, you can see violet, so a lot going on with that. But then there's also a subtle sparkle of opalescent flakes in here as well, so they're harder to pick up on camera, but they really add a little bit of depth to the polish. You can see a little bit of a bigger one on the top area of my nail, and this one is so beautiful. I actually love it in 1 coat and 2 coats as well as 3 coats, so it really just depends on how much depth you want in it. I'm actually wearing this one in the intro and outro to this video, and I'm wearing 2 coats, and the really cool thing about this one is that it doesn't have any sort of patchiness. So however many coats you want to do, it's gonna look good even if there is a little bit of visible nail line, which you guys know I love. So it's a really beautiful shade all around, and it also feels pretty elegant. So I just wanted to see what it looked like with some matte top coat on it, and of course it's stunning. I just love crelly polishes with a matte finish. Next up we have the shade Little Things, and this one is so much fun. It's another crelly polish, but this time it's in a medium, almost dark gray base, and then we've got little black specks in it, as well as small and medium hot pink matte glitters in there. So it's a lot going on in here. Again, it's super fun, and again you get that really nice formula that doesn't look patchy even if you're doing less coats and have a little bit of sheerness. It almost reminds me of TV Static if TV Static was hot pink. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I thought it was stunning in 2 coats, but I wanted to see what it looked like with the full effect of color, so I did do a 3rd, and I thought that also looked really awesome. It kind of has a little bit of like an alternative vibe, but there's something just so bright and happy about that pink as well, so it's a lot of fun. Of course I had to see what this looked like with matte top coat as well, and I was really impressed. Of course I was, because I love matte top coat, but I just think that it pairs really well with these polishes. Moving on, we have the shade When Galaxies Collide, and this one I would actually say is more of a jelly formula, so we've got a little bit more of that squishy kind of sheerness with that base color, which is a a really gorgeous cool toned purple, and then within that we've got these really beautiful irregular flakes, and they really have a huge variety of size here, so it's a lot of fun. It almost looks like glass shards in there, and I think it is so beautiful. Now this one, I love a cool toned purple, and I have a very warm undertone, so I feel like the more coats that I do with purple jellies, the more cool toned it'll appear on me. So personally, I loved the way that this one looked in 3 coats, and I love the depth that it gave with all those layers of flakes. So another one that is super fun, another one that I had to mattify. I didn't mattify all of them, but I just wanted to mattify these first few ones because I just knew that they would look really cool, and I was right, they did look really cool. Next up we have the shade Realm of Power, and this one is another one that I would classify as a jelly base, and then within that base we've got a really beautiful packed iridescent shimmer. So it's got this almost blue base color going on, and then the shimmer within it shifts a little duochromy, so in some light it looks green, in some it looks pretty golden yellow. So you can see, even just looking straight onto the nail, I can see a little bit of that green, I can see a little bit of that yellow. At more extreme angles it almost looks a little orangey. This one I would say is probably one of the more quote-unquote normal polishes of the collection. It's not an absolutely crazy finish, but it is a beautiful color, and I just think it looks really beautiful on. It was a really easy formula to work with. Moving on, we have the shade Reaching for the Stars, and this one is another jelly-like base that has this really intense shimmer in there, and this one is another blue base, but somehow it ends up looking completely different than Realm of Power, and this one has this intense coppery shimmer running throughout that again has a little bit of a duochrome vibe. So depending on the angle, it can look red, it can look orange. At more extreme angles, it can look even gold to green. And then we also get this really beautiful silvery fleck in there. Now, I absolutely love the way that this looked in 2 coats, and it did cover my visible nail line. I feel like now looking at it, I should have shown you a 3rd coat so you could see it a little bit deeper and darker, but I just couldn't get enough of it in 2 coats. I thought it looked stunning. So now let's move into some of the reflective polishes. Now, I feel like reflective polishes have evolved a lot in the indie world, and now they're not just basic silver reflection that you can put over any color. These ones have a lot going on in them. So this first one is called Maybe We'll Learn to Be Kind, and it's such a stunning color. It's this sort of hot pink that has this orangey shimmer in there, and then we've got these really beautiful silver and pink reflective shimmers in there. So you can see just the way that the light catches that reflective pigment, it almost looks like diamondy on the nail, and then there's just so much going on with all of those colors. It feels almost like a coral shade, but there's just so much more going on than your basic coral. Next we have the shade A Bad Dream, and this one is a warmer medium pink base that has this very cool greenish teal shimmer running throughout, and then again we get all of those really beautiful reflective silver sparkles in there. So this is something that I absolutely love when nail polishes have, which is a warm base color and a cool shimmer, or a cool base color and a warm shimmer. I just think that there's something about that juxtaposition that looks absolutely perfect to me. Now, I loved how subtle this looked in 2 coats, but I was curious to see what it looked like in 3, and I think that really gave the color a lot more deepness and vibrance to it. So that's the thing about these sort of jelly-like finishes, is the more coats that you do, the more intense the color is going to be, but sometimes you want it to look a little bit more subtle on the nails. So I like doing 2 coats a lot of the time. Next we have the shade Getting Stronger, and let me tell you, my camera did not do this one justice. I think it is so much more beautiful in person. So this one is a full coverage glitter that is absolutely packed. So we've got regular blue shimmer in there, and then we also have what seems to be a reflective blue shimmer. Then we have this pinky red intense shimmer running throughout, and then we also have the silver reflective pigment in there. So it is so beautiful all together. I don't know that I would have understood this combination until I saw it all together, because it just is so unique and different, and I just love, again, that very warm shimmer with the cool of the blue and then the warmth of that pinky reddish kind of color. It's just very fun. Next we have a crelly with a little bit of a twist. This one is called Illuminate, and we have this really beautiful medium gray crelly base. Then we have the multi-chromatic larger flakes in here that mostly look orange, pink, red, even purple at some angles. And then we have the silver reflective pigment in there. So this is kind of a double whammy, and I think it is so stunning. For some reason, these crellies that have this almost fallish multi-chrome flake in here are just speaking to me so much. And again, with this one, you get that combo of like the cool toned gray base with these very warm multi-chrome flakes in here. And then you also get on top of that, all of that sparkle. So stunning. I think it looked gorgeous in 2 coats, but it also just looks really intense in 3, and I love it that way as well. I think this next shade is probably the most unique nail polish that I have in my collection. I do not have anything remotely similar to this, and again, I don't think my camera does this one justice. It's a jelly base. It's this deep greenish jelly base. Then we've got all of these multi-chromatic flakes running throughout that shift from orange to gold to green, and then we have a purple reflective shimmer in there. So this to me is feeling so Halloween-y, and that might be because I am reviewing this in October and I've got Halloween on the mind. But this combination of the purple sparkles with that green base just feels like, I don't know, villainous and deep and mysterious and scary, and I just love it. And this also gave me full coverage in 2 coats, which I think is pretty wild for a jelly. Okay, so I'm not usually in the habit of swatching polishes that are not available, but I do quickly want to share a couple of shades that were limited edition. I don't believe they're available anymore because I just think that they represent the brand really well, and I think it just gives you a better idea of the kind of stuff that they do. So this first one is called Watson, and it's another gray crelly, and this one is so much fun. We have these larger opalescent flecks in here that kind of give it this lit from within glow, but then we also have this black speckle throughout the nail, and I just think this is such a unique combination of colors. Again, it's just something I wouldn't have expected, but I think it looks so beautiful and unique on. And then we also have this shade Toxic, which again, not a currently available polish, but it's just so incredibly unique. I couldn't resist sharing it. This is another full coverage glitter, and I don't even fully understand it enough to describe it very well, but when it's full coverage, it looks like a black multichrome that has all reflective pigment in it. I don't even know how to explain it because it looks black head on, but then around the edges you see pretty much the whole rainbow of glitters. You can see red into orange into yellow into green. I see a little hint of blue and purple in there, and then it's all just super sparkly and reflective, and there might actually be a little bit of like a red reflective in there as well. I'm not 100% sure. It's such a unique shade, I don't even know what's in it. So I had to show it to you. So here are all of the shades that I reviewed today. Clearly I am skewing a little bit more into the blues and the purples because those are my favorites, but I just cannot get enough of these finishes, these formulas. There's just something so different about them, and they're a lot of fun. I feel like they're very visually interesting, and even from afar, there's just so much going on the nail that you can't help but like want to look closer, you know what I mean? So I just think it's a really fun brand, and from my experience trying them, I think the formulas are really easy and fun to use as well, and they just make some really beautiful colors. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So those are all the polishes that I have to share with you today. Again, like I said, not part of a specific collection, but just a small sampling of the type of polishes that Cadillacquer does, and honestly, I absolutely love them. Like I said, I just feel like they're unlike any other brand. Even the indie style polishes, I think, are just a little bit more indie and a little bit more unique. unique than I see from so many other brands. And I just think their color combos are so eye-catching and beautiful and just very different. As far as the formula goes, I think it's an interesting mix because it's very thin, but it's also very buildable. And I think you can get away with doing less coats if you want a more sheer look because they don't feel patchy. I would say it's kind of tough because it's not too similar to any other brand, but I would say the formula that it's closest to, I think would be ILNP, which is another brand that's pretty thin but buildable. So even if you're wearing 3 coats of it on your nails, it doesn't feel like you have 3 coats on. And like I said, I think you can really wear these in less coats and they still look beautiful. I'm actually wearing 2 coats of one of the crellies on my nails right now, and I think it looks absolutely stunning with just a hint of visible nail line in there. And I do think that it is a very beginner-friendly brand, especially for having these unique finishes. Sometimes crellies can be a little bit trickier to work with, and you kind of have to fish around for glitters, but these ones in particular just feel very easy and workable. You don't have to fish around, you just get the perfect amount on your brush, and they do have the wide flat brush with a rounded tip, so it just makes application super easy and you don't really have to do much cleanup. So all of these polishes come in 15 milliliter bottles, which is actually pretty big. That's the same size as OPI, so you're getting a lot for your money, and they are available internationally. They have a ton of stockists, so I'm gonna put the link down in the description, but in the US, they are stocked in What's Up Nails and Color for Nails. In Canada, they are stocked at Nail Stuff, and they're in a bunch of other retailers as well, but the price for these hovers around $14 to $15 USD each. So I'll link a few of the retailers down in the description as well as the full stockist list, so you can check that out if you're interested. But yeah, I'm excited that I'm finally sharing Cadillacquer with you. Like I said, this is a brand that I've followed for so long that I've always just found so interesting. I know I keep on saying unique, but they really are very unique colors that they put together, and it just feels so unlike any other brand that I have. So I definitely enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoy them too. If you are a fan of Cadillacquer, please let me know your favorite polish down in the comments and I will look for it. And if you haven't tried them before, let me know which of the polishes I swatched today is your favorite, or what you think of the brand in general from this initial little review. If you'd like to see more, just leave it all in the comments. And if you are enjoying a Small Brand Sunday, or if you just enjoy me in general, please give this video a thumbs up. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. I also have a vlog channel, my second YouTube channel, where I talk a little bit more about behind the scenes / my daily life. And I also have a podcast, so definitely check that out. I'll link it in the description. And a huge shout out to all of my supporters on Patreon, my first ever Royal Astronomer, Amanda M, as well as my Cosmic Admirals, Rocket Man's daughter, Paula, Kenneth, and Rosie. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact question comes from Patreon supporter Kelly Marie. Love the name. And Kelly Marie wants to know, what is your favorite thing so far to do in Las Vegas? Have you discovered anything cool that is off the tourist path? So if you didn't know, I actually just recently moved across the country from New Jersey to Las Vegas. I feel like I say that literally all the time, so I'm sorry if you've heard it a million times, but I feel like there's always somebody who kind of missed it, so I just like to repeat it just in case. Fun fact, there are actually people who still think that I live in Atlanta, Georgia, where I lived for about 4 years in the middle of me having this YouTube channel. And actually a lot of people think that I was born and raised in Georgia, which I was not. I was born and raised in New Jersey, briefly moved to Atlanta, came back to New Jersey, and now I live in Vegas. And I say all that to say, I'm still pretty new to Vegas. I only moved here a couple of months ago, and honestly, I haven't done that much stuff that isn't touristy. Actually, when we were first talking about moving here, we were saying that we really enjoy just walking on the strip, and so many people were like, oh, once you live there, you're never gonna go on the strip. And I have to tell you, almost every weekend, we just drive on over to the strip and we just do a little walk, which is incredibly touristy. I'm sure that most people who live in Vegas do not do that, but it's still very new to us. I think it's fun to just walk up and down because we don't do anything particularly wild, but we do like walking. And it's good for you and you get the sunshine. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of walking on the strip. I have made it my personal mission to try every bubble tea place in Las Vegas and the greater Las Vegas area. So I have tried a ton of bubble tea since I moved here, and I think I've found a favorite so far, but it's hard to give my favorite out publicly because there's still like a million places that we haven't tried yet. But there's definitely one that is a repeat that we keep on going back to. So I am definitely enjoying my bubble tea, but I wouldn't say that's specifically non-touristy. I don't think we've really done anything that wasn't touristy yet. Although I will say we've already had a couple of people come and visit us, and my favorite thing is to take people to the Ethel M chocolate factory and cactus garden, mostly because it's just hilarious that it is both a chocolate factory and a cactus garden. I don't know, if anybody who lives in the area has any recommendations for some fun non-touristy things we can do, you can definitely let me know in the comments, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!